Jump Rope or Double Dutch, with special guest, Reverend Dr. Lakisha Lockhart, on this episode of Play Saves the World, the ongoing conversation on games, play, and spirituality. Well, hello and welcome, everybody, to Play Saves the World. My name is Daniel Hilty.
And I'm Lakisha Lockhart.
Lakisha, welcome so much to the podcast. We are so grateful to have you here today.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Our regular listeners may have noticed that Kevin, the co-host of our podcast, cannot be with us today, but he sends his regrets. He wishes he could be here for a wonderful conversation with you, Lakisha, and also just a word of thanks to those of you who are listening today, who are maybe watching on YouTube or listening on your podcast player or wherever you're tuning in. You're in for a wonderful conversation this morning or this evening or tonight or at whatever point you are watching or listening to this. And if Kevin were here, he would kindly remind me to say, if you like this conversation, there are a lot of ways that you can connect with this podcast. You can search for us online or on the internet, Play Saves the World. We have a Patreon that we invite support from that as well. But yeah, most of all, we appreciate you tuning in and being a part of our time today with Lakisha. So, Lakisha, again, it's awesome to have you here. We've been looking forward to this conversation for several weeks now. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, our viewers and our listeners.
Thank you. I'm equally excited to be here. So thank you. So I am a mama. I have two little nuggets, boys, 3, that keep me very busy and all the energy. They are my best players in the world, right? So
I bet.
keep me honest about my play. I'm also a spouse, a daughter, a sister, all of those things. I'm also associate professor of Christian education at Union Presbyterian Seminary in Richmond, Virginia. And I also consider myself a womanist play facilitator and educator. So yeah. Lots of things.
Those are all amazing things to be. From mama to a womanist play theologian. Those are fantastic, and everything in between. And we're going to be getting into a little bit about some of those titles in just a moment. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're right. Kids are a great teacher for play, aren't they? Yeah.
They are the best.
We're sharing a little bit before we started recording. Yeah, they're great teachers for both the wonders of play and the more frightening dimensions of play as well.
Yes, we were talking about two little boys and how they like to jump off of things, and how I've had to get to the point where I just can't say be careful because it does nothing anymore. I have to just sometimes natural consequences, but also just the conversation of does that seem like a good idea? Do you think that might hurt when you do that? No? Okay, we're going to try it. And then we got hurt. Okay, what did we learn? So, we're all learning. We're all learning. It's fun.
Exactly right.
Great.
Exactly right. How can this experience teach you in the future? Well,
Exactly.
we've learned something. Every experience is a teacher. That's right. There is something about childhood there that's just makes jumping off of things an almost irresistible temptation. Yeah.
It is, 'cause you're also at that age you feel fearless and like nothing can harm you. And I'm just like, part of me is like, I want more of that. I want to feel more fearless just in life.
That's right.
More things. So I'm like trying to hold on to that energy.
And it's almost like I think there's kind of some truth to that too, because they're a little bit their bones don't break quite as easily. They can bounce back a little bit more, kind of literally and figuratively. Yeah.
When they wake up, their bones don't hurt yet. Like ours. When I wake up, I need to stretch.
That is right. That's right. Going down steps is enough of a jumping activity for me.
There we go.
That's right. That's right. I hear you. So I assume that play was a subject of interest for you even before becoming a mother. So may I ask
Yeah.
what as a theologian, as a as a as a professor, as a human being, as a person of faith, what first got you interested in the subject of play, please?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I feel like play, I like to say play found me, right?
Oh yeah.
I was playing most of my life just as a young kid, whether it was hide and seek, whether I was I'm the youngest of three in my family, all
Okay.
girls, and
Oh.
so and there's like a 7 year difference between me and my older sisters, and so there was just lots of play. There was lots of games of hide and seek, of go outside. I'm from an era where you went outside until the street lights came back on, and then when they came back on, you
Mm,
came back in the house, and so we were outside a lot. And I loved sports. I was also a softball, volleyball girl, and so like, all of that was a part of who I was, and I didn't realize there was something to it until I got a little older.
yeah. Yeah.
But those were always the places, like, when things in my life would happen or if I was upset or I was hurt, like, those were always the places that I would turn. Those were always the
Mm,
places for me where I found God, right? I love to dance, so I dance, I praise dancing at church. For me, that was, like, my language. It was a second language of communicating, of how I saw God, how I saw myself in a world where as a little Black girl in the world, I didn't always see myself reflected. So for me,
mm,
play
mm,
encompassed so much space where I could just be free to be me, where I
mm, mm.
be free to experience God and others. So yeah, so it started young and probably around high school, college, well, probably more solidly in college. I went to Claflin University in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Shout out to Claflin. So
There
I
you
went,
go.
did my undergrad, and I took my first feminist and womanist class, and I was hearing about these poems and these artists of Intisaki Shange and Alice Walker and all these scholars, and I was like, oh my goodness, they're doing these things. Like, I didn't realize it was a thing. I didn't realize
Yeah.
I was doing it, but I didn't realize it was something you could study or something you could talk about. Like, I for a while, I just thought something was wrong with me, and this was just the way that I understood things. But the more I read and the more, I'm hearing about other authors talking about like a theology of play, I'm like, what is this? Like, this is a
Yeah.
thing. And I had amazing women in my life that were like, well, that's special. Like, that's how you see God, and you should lean into that. Like, go and study more and see where that leads you. And once I kind of got that little nudge in my ear that there's something to this, that everybody doesn't see God this way. And I'm like, well,
Mm.
it's been such a gift. Like, how do we not? And so then it kind of just took off from there, and I just kept asking big questions and doing more school and saying, why aren't we having more conversations about play? Why aren't we talking more about this or thinking about it? We're all doing it. We're all human. It's
Right.
part of
Right.
who we are ever since we
Yep.
were born. But why aren't we talking about it, especially as we become adults and realize the value there? So it definitely found me at a young age, and it got a hold of me, and it did not let me go. And I'm grateful.
That's so interesting. What a wonderful journey. Yeah. Thanks. I love how that image of it finding you and not letting go. I mean, it sounds to me, and I'm interested to hear more, and please correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds to me like there was not a moment, there wasn't a season in your life or a time in your life that we have sometimes encountered with other guests where they felt like they had to shut the door on play. We're like this, okay, I'm an adult now. I've got to be serious. I've got to put the stuff behind me. But it doesn't sound like that was ever a part of your story. Is that right? Or
I think there was a time where like that wanted to be a part, right? I feel like, you know,
mm,
high school and college, it was okay. We need to do AP classes. We need to do this. So I feel like the
yeah,
door tried to be shut, right? Like, but
yeah,
I was also the kind of person that was like, no, I needed play. I needed dance. Like for me, it was, and I don't even think at that point I called it a mental health thing. But like for me, like those
right,
are the
right,
places that were like a release for me. Those are the places where I was
yeah,
like finding myself deeply
yeah,
in a world where I didn't always see myself. And so
yeah,
for me, I needed those. Again, I don't think I had that language for it when I was that young.
right.
But like looking back, I couldn't have let that go even if I want. Like that was home for me. Like those are,
Mm,
being a shortstop on the field, getting the ball, like that was important to me. Being a libero, like, getting those balls when they were going out, like those were like really
yeah,
beautiful moments, or like playing double dutch, doing these things. Like those are the moments for me. So I feel like, I think there are moments between college and like kind of getting into adulthood where I feel like people tell you need to be serious.
right,
It's time
right,
now. You put those childish things away.
right,
And I feel
right.
like I always had this beauty of like, it was also part of what I was researching and studying. So like that was
Mm.
always like, oh no, but this is work.
You had
I'm
permission,
studying.
the
I have
blessing of
permission.
the world. That's right.
I have a permission to play. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So I don't think I ever had that moment of like I had to close the door and then re-find it. Now there have been seasons where I maybe didn't play as much, and I had to get back immersed in it. But I don't think there was ever a season where I like closed the door on play.
That's so great. It sounds like, I mean, yeah, that if there was any kind of pressure for that, it was exterior to you. It
Yeah,
wasn't from any kind of interior compulsion or sense of
I
this is what
deeply
I've got to
needed
be
it.
grown up now or something like that. Yeah,
No, I
yeah, yeah.
deeply needed it. I mean, I would hide it sometimes because people wouldn't take me seriously if they knew I did it, but I was still doing it. I was still doing it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's one of the. It's. I don't know if it's. Well, that's another topic. I'll share. I'll say for another time. If I may ask, so it's. You said a
Yeah,
couple things in there. Kind of one. You mentioned that play is where you found God,
yeah,
and I think I got the right. Let me correct me if
yeah.
I'm wrong on that.
No, you
And then
yeah,
also, thanks. And then also, it almost kind of sounds like play when you talk about play as your home. That it kind of play is kind of where you find yourself as
yeah,
well. Would it be possible, if you don't mind me, just maybe just kind of
yeah.
unpack those ideas a little bit? Like how did you? What does it mean to find God in play? And what did it mean to find yourself in play? Please.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, because for me, it's been so powerful. So for me, I'm like, I want everyone to find themselves, but I know it's not everybody's thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for me, it's so being a young Black girl in the world, I didn't always see myself reflected, right?
Mm,
Going to church,
mm,
I saw blonde hair, blue eyed Jesuses, blonde hair,
mm-hmm.
white haired God,
Yep,
and I'm
yep,
like, that's not me.
yep,
That isn't.
yep,
But I'm made in the image of God. Like, what does that mean for me? What does that look like for me?
yep.
But in these moments of play, like I feel like for me, those are the moments of say, like, you're made in my image, like in this playful image, because I think I always thought about creation as this very playful act. Right. I mean, now I have language where I say, we have been created by a creative creator to create, like literally the act of creation. It's
That's
huge.
great.
But at
Yeah,
that age, I didn't have that language. I was just like, well, if God created, like, God is playful. God is naturally playful. Like literally, make this blue, make this green, or create this light, dark. Like that is playful, so playful. And so for me, I'm thinking, oh, well, God wants this for me. God wants me to live my best life. And so, like in this, I'm finding God because in my play, I'm finding myself. I'm finding others. I'm. So I think about play. I think about moments when I was a young girl and like we played like house or we played doctor. And I remember like, with my group of friends, I might have been one of the one or two Black kids that were playing. And like, I was always the nurse or I was always this. And I remember the one day I was like, I'm going to be a doctor today.
be a doctor. That's
Right?
right.
Right? Never met a Black woman doctor until that point in my life, so I just was really empowered. But in that moment, I feel like those are like these really beautiful moments where I'm learning about myself, where
Oh, that's
I'm
so
I'm
good.
showing agency, where I am saying this
Mm,
is who I want to be in the world. Like I don't have to just
mm,
do this one thing, but that God is curating space for me to try on different things, to try new possibilities, to think about what might be possible in the
mm.
world. And like play is just one vehicle that's helping me see that, one thing that's helping me think about that. Or if I'm playing Red Rover, I'm realizing so much of my morals and ethics because you don't go under the hands. When you play Red Rover, you have to go through the hands at full speed. And if you don't break the hands, then you lost and you have to come join the line. But I remember there being people that would try to go under the hands or over the hands or all the way around the hands. And I was like, no, there are rules. I learned a lot about how I felt about morals and ethics and how other people around me felt about moral and ethics. So then I learned a lot about my community, about people who I called friends or not friends and like what that meant for me. And so for me, I'm thinking, well, if God allowed all of this to exist, how could this not be good? How can it
Yeah,
not be good
yeah.
to feel this, to experience this, but to be in community with people who might look differently from me, who might believe differently from me, and yet we can have fun and be together in love. Now, I don't know if I had that language then, but I had that felt sense of like, this feels good. Like
You,
we're not
yeah.
competing, we're not battling. You're not just talking about my curly hair. We're not talking about my brown skin. We're just playing.
You,
And I'm
right,
like,
right.
this beauty of what it's supposed to be.
Yep.
And so I had that language now. Then it just felt good. And I just like that. I remember that
Mm.
so deeply. Like
You
this
felt that it was true and good, and yeah,
right,
yeah.
like,
Even if, yeah,
this
yeah,
has to be what God looked at and said, "It was good." Like, that's I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that feeling so vividly, like, this is
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I love this. Yeah, that's great. Wow. And I love hearing all of that and your the delight obviously in you for that. I mean, that just I love this image of playfulness as the image of God. and creation is God's play. Um, and also, like you said, just how play allows us to explore other spaces and other ideas and exert agency in ways that the world may say, no, you don't want to exert, you can't exert agency in this way or whatever. That's all just beautiful. Yeah. I mean, it's a little glimpse of something divine, isn't it? It's wonderful. Yeah.
So I think
I
so.
love that. Thank you. It reminds me, one of our early episodes on this podcast, we had a guest named Dave Bindewald on here, and he's out in the Pittsburgh area, and he's also kind of a theological reflector on play. And he said one of his most formative moments was um, learning that, and I'm not talking about, I'm not getting into any of the science of any of the stuff, but just like learning that there were like how many hundreds of thousands of different species of beetles in the world. And he says, like, that's really over the top. I mean, there's no need. Surely we, as a world, we could get by with like 5 types of beetles or something like that,
Yeah,
but just how extravagant over the top is all of that, and playful and wonderful. And yeah.
literally.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
chock full of play. Everything.
yeah. I love that. So, if I may ask, so one of the themes we often try to explore and on this podcast in different ways is like, so what is play? I mean, and because it's oftentimes a
It's hard to
elusive
define.
concept to define. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on what defines play?
I mean, I had it for me just because, it's in me and my experience. And I will say the way I define play is very, it's very inclusive, right?
Mm.
Mostly because I come from my very womanist background, which I know we'll talk about in a little bit, but,
Yeah.
and so part of that is, a lot of what it means to be kind of womanist is about making sure that we make space for everyone. Like there needs
Mm.
to be space around the table. And so for me, when I'm thinking about play, I'm thinking about who we are. I'm thinking about culturally. I'm thinking about accessibility. I'm thinking about so many things. And so when I think about play, it has to be it has to have space for everybody, right? And so I know
Yeah.
other people will define it in different ways, but for me, I find that play is like just an embodied aesthetic experience and a cultural expression often. That's a part of what it means to be human. So then it becomes an epistemological and ontological reality. And all those 2 words mean is they become ways of knowing and ways of being in the world. So that's how we make meaning. So literally play becomes this way we're making meaning in the world through bodies, through play, through expression. And for me, because that is so expansive as a definition, then that means even the fact that I'm wearing these cute little dinosaur earrings in honor of my kiddos who picked them out, it's playful. Right? It's like
Yes.
literally how I choose to put on, like how I'm accessorizing or how I'm expressing, then become acts of play. When I'm in the kitchen cooking, can become a very playful act. When I'm taking a hike, can become a very it's play, right? So for me, because that definition is so expansive, play can become so much of what you bring to it. It becomes
Yeah.
much more of what you view as play, kind of what the playfulness that it brings to you. Is that a way that you're coming to know? Is that how you're coming to make meaning of who you are, of the world, and of how you see the divine? And so for me, it then becomes very personal to who you are, how it shows up in your world. But it's very much influenced by Johann Hunzinger talked a lot about like play as cultural. So that's where a lot of it comes from for me there. I'm sure we might be familiar with D.W. Winnicott, psychologist, as well as Jerome Berryman, godly play. And they talk so much about the true self, right? Like when you're playing, more of you get to come out because you're letting that guard down. You get to come out a little bit more freely. You get to do your thing because when you're all dancing and being silly, it's harder to like keep walls up. When everyone is just dancing around
Yes.
being silly, you're joining
Yes.
in. At least you're present. Also,
Yes.
Courtney Goto is a huge part of that for me. She's also a theologian. In her Grace of Playing, she talks a lot about how again play offers us the possibilities to try things on, possibilities of what may be, what might not be, to try things on. Very kind of Gadamer-esque, like the to and the fro, the back and the forth. But play just, I think, curates space for us to be our truest self, and express who we are, express culturally who we are, all of who are being. And I think there's space for all of us to play.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah, so
so
that's how I
great.
define it. That would be my I guess. And always knowing that it's hard to define play. You know it when you do it, when you see it, when you feel it.
That's right. That's right. That's
But if I
right.
had to give it words, there you go.
I love that. I love all of that. You may have, our viewers may have noticed I was furiously writing down all sorts of things on that. That's amazing. Lakisha, we, as I said, we talk a lot about what is play on this podcast, and I have never heard it quite described in that way. And I love that. That really helps to open up a different dimension of it that we haven't talked about on this podcast before. So if I may, I just want to make sure I've kind of written it because I want to remember this. An embodied aesthetic experience
and
that
cultural expression.
and cultural expression
That are part of what it means to be human.
that are part of what. Okay, yeah, that's part of what it means to be human. That's so great. And you said it kind of leads to epistemological
Epistemology, ontology. So
ontology. Yeah,
how we come to know, how we have our being, and how we make meaning in the world. Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I love that. I love that.
I do too. A lot of it comes again. Most of this comes from my womanist sensibilities, right? So womanist theology is. I don't know if everyone's familiar, so I'm just gonna quick. Is that okay if I give a quick brief version of womanism?
Absolutely. That's exactly what I want to talk about. If I'm asked real quick before we go into that, you mentioned several authors who are wonderful in there. Would you mind maybe after recording we can touch bases on this? But I'd love to put that in the details of the video and the podcast, if that's okay with you. So listeners, viewers, if you'd like to see that list, we'll put it in the details of our podcast. But yes, you've been discussing this term, womanism, and I know you and I talked a little bit before starting recording on it. It's please, if our listeners or viewers are unfamiliar with that term, would you mind sharing what does that mean, please?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So the easiest way I always say talk about womanism is think about feminism. I feel like we're all, at least that's a home base for most people. Most
that's
people
the
know
starting point.
Exactly. Our starting point. Most people know about feminism, how it was about women's equality, making sure we have equal rights, equal vote, equal all of the things. And we're saying yes. And essentially what also happened as part of feminism is that a lot of voices also weren't heard. A lot of lower class white as well as non-white women voices were not heard, right, during this movement. So it was much more a movement for mostly middle class white women that identified. And so what happened is a lot of indigenous voices, a lot of Black women's voices, a lot of Latinx women's voices, and other marginalized voices were just not heard. And so what kind of rippled up were other folks saying, hey, our experience and our voice is also really important too. So you get, indigenous voices raising up, you get mujerista, which is like Latinx, Latina voices raising up, and then you get womanism, which focuses on like the history and the voices of African-American women, of Black women. And the term comes from Alice Walker. So Alice Walker, she wrote an article, but it became more popularized in Search Off a Mother's Garden. In which she talks about what womanism is and talks about how a woman is in the 4 tenets of womanism, which essentially are the 4 tenets are radical subjectivity, kind of agency, knowing who you are, embracing all of who you are in this world, traditional communalism, which is essentially saying we care about our community. Nobody's going to get free until we're all free together. We're in this together. Very Fannie Lou Hamer-esque, right? Redemptive self-love, kind of how we need to love ourselves the way that God loves us in a world that doesn't always love us, how we have to forgive ourselves and redeem that love within ourselves. And then critical engagement is the 4th one, which I like to say it as in like kindle the world, like light the world on fire for justice and equity, like push back in these spaces where there's racism or sexism or all of these things. Womanism is really about intersectionality, realizing not only am I a woman, like in feminism, but also I am a Black woman. Also, I'm a Black woman who is X, Y, and Z. Also, I'm a Black woman who might love women or men, like realizing that we hold multiple things within us, right? Intersectionality is really a big part of womanism, and that we're more than just one thing. And so that's really all it is just saying that we have so many other voices and other experiences that are equally important, and we can all coexist. And thing you don't need one. We're saying we can all coexist and say we can all hear these voices. And so for me, a lot of womanism just talks about being expansive, making space for everyone at the table, making space for all of us to be deeply loving ourselves, to be deeply loved by God, and also calling out systems of oppression that might not allow other voices to be heard.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why my definition is so expansive. It's because there needs to be space for everyone. And so it's
yeah,
very,
yeah.
very womanist practice.
Yeah, expansiveness, spaciousness seems to be a theme that I hear in a lot of your work and your ideas, and how amazing and awesome is that? The world needs more expansiveness and spaciousness.
I agree.
That's great. That's great. No, it's fun. So yeah, so thank you for helping to explain that for the listeners, and like I said, and for viewers, and for me too. I appreciate that. That was
Absolutely.
I shared before we were recorded. I had heard a little bit about womanism before, but this was a subject that I wanted to educate myself more on as well, and that makes sense. So yeah, so as I hear you explaining it, at least in the beginnings of it, the origins of it, it's part of it is this idea that um, what that feminism, maybe especially arose out of kind of a very specific and maybe
Hmm.
narrow demographic. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and womanism is trying to create a more expansive space for all
Yeah.
of that. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful, good.
We can all coexist. This is not a one is better than the other. I mean, I feel like people often do that. Oh, well, is it? No, we're all
We
out here
just
being wonderful and amazing. And,
yeah,
bring all of us, bring the feminists, bring the womanists, bring the mujeristas, the
that's
indigenous,
right,
like,
that's
all of
right,
us can, can
that's right, that's
coexist.
right.
And we're made
Exactly,
better together, just because all of our experiences are different. And
that's right,
I
that's
think
right.
all of what we bring is beautiful and necessary and wonderful
Yep.
in the world.
Here, 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 here. I love it. I love it. Thank you, thank you. Well, and so we and womanism is in the title of a playful sounding book that you wrote as well,
Oh,
doing theological double dutch, a womanist pedagogy of play or
yeah.
pedagogy. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
pedagogy or pedagogy.
I got you. Mhm.
Okay, okay, thank you. Which is a fantastic, delightful name. Uh, as I understand it, kind of using this idea of double dutch,
Mhm.
a very playful act as kind of a metaphor for theological reflection,
Yeah.
womanist theological reflection. Would you mind just sharing a little bit about, tell us a little bit about your book, please?
Yeah, no, thank you. So essentially in the book, I talk about how double dutch is this beautiful metaphor. I use it as an extended metaphor throughout the whole book, not just of kind of Black women's reality in the world, but also kind of again what's happening in theological education, what's happening in the world, how we can use it as a tool for teaching, we can use it in ministry. So I use it a lot in the book as a different tool. But the main piece is I just talk a lot historically about how there's jump rope and how there's double dutch, and how so often historically there's one main dominant rope that is often, a cis heteronormative white male Christian rope that many people were expected to jump and expected to kind of do things this way. Just think about how most of our seminaries, our institutions were made. They were often mostly made for men to go in ministry to do certain
Yep.
things. And so
Yep.
what I say is when we start bringing in some of these other ropes, we expand the conversation. And so I just say double dutch because that's also a thing I remember as a little Black girl being double dutch. So it has lots of deep roots in my mind. But it's that whole you have to do double work. So when you're trying to jump two ropes, it's more dangerous. It
Yeah.
is
So
focus more. Yeah. Oh, go
yeah, I
ahead.
apologize. I apologize. Just for
Oh,
those listeners of yours who may not be familiar with double dutch, like
yes.
what that is. So what is like literally
Let's
what is it as a game? Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So we might be familiar with jump rope, right? So it's one
Yes.
rope where either you can spin the wheels yourself, the handles yourself, or you can
Right,
have
right.
two people on either end and you're jumping in the middle. So now, if you're not familiar, imagine having one rope, now adding two. So turning two ropes and still trying to jump. So you have people on both sides turning two ropes and you're in the middle trying to jump both ropes at the same time and
Woo!
not get hurt. Now, literally, just go and Google double dutch. And when I tell you there are competitions, people are like dancing, they're dropping, they're picking it up. I mean, they are double dutch masters at this. They're
Wow.
literally still competitions. It is glorious and amazing.
Yeah.
Like the level of
Sounds like it.
centrifugal force that has to happen for these things to happen. And so for what I'm saying is when we have to do this extra work of adding in this other rope, it is hard, necessary work, but so many of us are already having to do it. as a Black woman, I'm already having to double dutch, whether I want to or not,
Yep.
because I not only have to know Alice Walker and, all of my Black sources, I have to also know all of the white sources, because that's what the Academy tells me I have to know. So I'm
Right.
always doing double dutch. I don't ever get a chance to not do double dutch,
Yep.
right? And so
Yep.
what my book is saying, why can't we all be doing double dutch together instead of just some people having to do double dutch? That we're actually made better when we bring more voices into the conversation, and that no one should just be doing jump rope alone, but we should be all doing double dutch together. It's very much, if we think about W.E.B. Du Bois and double consciousness, this notion of I have to do double think in my head all the time. I have to know what they're going to say and what they're going to say. It's similar to that, but it's a little bit more embodied. So my body
Yeah.
has to think about what's happening in this space and what's happening in this space because of how my body shows up. And so in the book, I just really talk about like that kind of double dutch that has to happen and how we can be doing more of it. And one of the ways that we can be doing more of it is to use womanist plays practices. And so in the book, I actually talk about the 4 tenets that I mentioned earlier around, radical subjectivity and traditional communalism, redemptive self-love, and critical engagement. I name them different things in my book, and I actually go through each of them and talk about how those are womanist practices. And I offer different play practices that you could do in your churches, in your classrooms, in different spaces to actually bring about some of that. So if we're going to talk about how do we embrace ourselves, I put in some play practices to say, hey, these are some things that might help get you started thinking about who you are and how you show up. And so it's definitely, again, I'm a Christian educator, practical theologian, so I had to give you practical things. So
Yeah.
it's really helping us get tools so that we can all be double dutching together, so that no one is just jumping rope, but we're all in this together and we can play and double dutch in really beautiful ways.
I love it. Would you mind sharing an example of a play practice, if you don't mind,
Sure.
please?
So one of the ones I love to do for radical subjectivity, which is the first tenet, which is embracing self, because I feel like in order to do any of this work, you have to start with self. You got to do self work, which is, again, a very womanist practice. Who are you? What is your agency? And so
Yep.
one of the things I love to invite people to do is to do a creative selfie. So we all love
Ah.
selfies, but we usually think about it like in terms of like a camera, right? Like I'm taking a selfie with the camera, but I call it a creative selfie because it's like you have to use everything but your phone. So literally whatever
Ah.
people do a creative selfie with pots and pans that they had in their kitchen. I've had people do it with Play-Doh. People have done it like with like making origami things. One person like had water bottles and paper clips nearby them, so they were doing something with paper clips. But it's really like,
Wow.
who are you right here, right now in this moment? So often we're not taking time to think about who we are, to think about where we are, where God is in our lives. And so the creative selfie invites you into this creative exercise to just play, but who are you? And
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
naming yourself for yourself in a world that often tries to name you for you. You get to name yourself. You get to say, this is who I am. And you get to do it in a creative, fun way with whatever you might have close. So that's one of
Yes.
my favorite, probably ones that I love to do when people are embracing themselves, because what they put together to create, they're like, I don't know, but it makes sense to me. And I'm like, great. And then you have these like random
If it
water
makes
bottles,
sense to you.
right? Then random like sculptures on their desk that when people come and they're like, and so now they get to explain, yes, this is who I am, right? And so it's this beautiful
See that water
piece,
bottle there?
right? That's
That's
actually
my
me.
heart. Yeah, that's so great. That's so great. Yeah, and and isn't that one of the great gifts of play, that allowing us to, yeah, explore who we are in ways that the world often doesn't allow or sanction.
Absolutely.
Or yeah, that is, I love that image of double dutch, and I also appreciate um, how you uh, use that to name this reality that, as you said, that, I mean, you're always having to
Oh,
jump
I'm
through
always
ropes, right? Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah. That frankly, yeah, yeah. That is, honestly, is often something that, I'm a white middle-aged guy that I may not, I might even be aware of or occur. Yeah, and so that's a very helpful thing to hear. Yeah. So thank you for naming that. That's,
yeah.
I I I have to say, I love the idea of double dutch as a theological metaphor. As a physical act, it terrifies me. I don't think I've
Haven't
ever successfully jumped a rope just one
Look,
rope in my life.
it's hard work. It is like and the thing is, there's also so much there theologically, like even just in the
Yeah.
act of double dutch, because again, it is terrifying. There's so much risk. Who's it for? Who's turning your ropes? Like that moment of hesitation. Why are you hesitating? When are you going to jump in? Like, how is God moving? I mean, literally, like that's probably like a whole sermon series, like in itself, right?
Yes. Yes.
Just the act itself. But yes, it is terrifying. I remember before I got it, before I was able to do it, I had lots of bruises.
So you can do it now. I mean, can you physically do it?
Well, so I haven't done it in some years, but there
Okay.
was a
Okay.
time when I was amazing at it in my youth. I was amazing, and it took me a long time to get to that point. um, I haven't done it recently, but I feel like with a little bit of practice, I could probably get it back.
I
I
I
could.
celebrate that. I'm sure it's got to be like riding a bike.
I feel like I feel like I have enough bruises from it. I feel like it has to be like riding a bike at this point, right? Like I'm like I
That's
fell
right.
enough
That's right.
times. I should be good now.
That's right. Like you mentioned with your boys at the beginning with your sons at the beginning of the episode, that pain and suffering are good teachers, and the lessons stay with us forever. Do they?
Exactly. I'm like, I'm gonna take some from them, be fearless, and just go jump, even if I fall. That's part of it. It's like even if you fall, you get up and you keep trying to go back and until you figure it out. And it's like
I love that.
that's the hard work, right? Is realizing even if this isn't our experience, we can still learn something from it. So how do we still get back up with these ropes that we're learning? Because it's going to be messy, and I think that's the beauty of like when we're talking to other people, other cultures, we're bringing in other voices. It's not
Yeah.
always going to be clean. It's going to be
Right.
messy. It's going to be
Right.
hard work, but showing each other grace,
Yeah.
doing it together in love, but being able to see each other in new, beautiful ways, it's worth it. It's worth
So
all of it.
so worth it. So worth it. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's worth it all. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, um. No, that's so great. I'm going to go. I'm going to go try to find some YouTube videos of the Double Dutch
Please
Masters.
do,
That
and you're gonna be
sounds.
like, "Oh my gosh." They're like they're so amazing. I mean, they're jumping. I mean, like literally, they're doing like push-ups in the middle of these jump ropes. Like y'all, they're amazing. I really do mean to go look it up. They have like real competitions. Like and these ropes are going fast. Like they're not little turns. They're like I was never at
Wow.
that point. I was never to that extent, but I could hold my own. But like I was not a competitive double dutcher. So
Yeah.
oof, that's like
That's
a whole
that's
different thing.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Um. And so yeah. So again, that the title of your book. Say that again, please, for us,
Oh,
for our listeners and viewers.
I don't think you can see it, but it's called "Doing Theological Double Dutch: A Womanish Pedagogy of Play," and there's like a double dutch on the
There it
cover.
is. There it
It's a
is.
piece of art by Omari Booker. It's called Double Dutch. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. There it is. Yeah, it showed up on the screen. Thank you. Thank you. I think that sounds amazing. Thank you very much.
No,
Do you know? I'm sorry.
no,
I'm just writing down so many
you're
good
right.
things, Lakisha. So many good things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so I guess so. Shifting gears, maybe a little bit. Have you ever encountered? So I guess a little bit of background. Sometimes, on when we've had guests before, they're sharing their stories, and Kevin and I kind of reflecting on our experiences as well. Um, we're both pastors. The There have been these moments where um, even if, as we were talking about earlier, even if there isn't any kind of internal pushback on play, that which sometimes there is internal as well. But even if there isn't that, there is sometimes external. Like you say, hey, I want to talk about
Yeah.
play, and a very serious person says, then not serious enough. Yeah. So has that been? And I'm not trying to wrap. Of course, the point of that is not to put shade on anyone or throw or tear down anybody, but just kind of as a general theme have you encountered pushback onto play in your experience? Yeah.
Of course. I feel like someone's always going to be pushing back against all the things. Always, right? Someone's always.
That's just the human experience. Yeah.
Of life, and so one, I never try to take it personally because I know
Yeah.
play isn't for everyone. Some people need time with play, or they need to get back to that.
Yeah.
But more than anything, I just invite. Well, first I say, usually the thing is, oh, well, play's frivolous. It's not. You don't do anything. It's not productive. This and this and this. And I'm like, well, sometimes just play for the heck of play is actually really great and healing and rejuvenating, which is why play therapy is a thing. It helps our nervous systems. It helps like our body. Like there's actually really lots of studies that have been done on like the actual like physiological benefits of play. As well as neurological benefits. It literally brain synapses in our mind. It creates new neural pathways. So we're actually more creative problem solvers, like literally. So neurological, physiological benefits. So, usually I start with those and then I go biblical and I talk about, well, God and Jesus played. And then they're like, what? I'm like, let's go there, right? I was like, what? And I'm like, number one, creation. Let's literally, come on, let's just close our eyes and snap and create something. How playful is that? And then I'm like, really, the whole Bible is chock full of play. I mean, we got talking donkeys. I mean, sassy talking donkeys. We're turning people into salt. I mean, it wasn't a good thing that happened, but salt. I mean, right? I mean, literally, Jesus is like always like I really love after Jesus dies and comes back, like Jesus, they're out fishing and Jesus goes and it's like, Jesus sees that they haven't caught any fish, right? Like literally you're reading it. Jesus knows they haven't caught any fish. And yet what does Jesus ask? You caught any fish? Jesus, we haven't. Like for me, those moments are like so playful and a little bit petty. And I'm like, I can get down with that. Like
that's such a great example. Those are great examples.
But the moments where they're like literally the parables, how the stories are being told, like that is playful. That is storytelling. I mean, just so many moments of conversation. There's so much dancing. There's so much music. One of my personal favorites as we get closer to April is when Jesus tells the tax collectors to go get their money out of the mouth of the fish. I would love to hey friends, go get your money out of the mouth of a fish. I'd be in jail somewhere. I can't get away with that. But all of those are just so playful. I mean, just
send a flounder to the IRS. Just say,
here you go. Literally just all the stories. You got arcs and all the animals and just everything is just chock full of play. And so I just remind them, I'm like, if God and Jesus can play and literally leave us all of these things that are so chock full of play, then why not us? Like, why would they also not want that for us? Like, why? And I'm like, not only that, then you get, and then I remind them of the physiological and the neurological benefits. And like, why wouldn't we want that for ourselves? Like, doesn't God want that for us?
Right.
So I get pushback, and that's usually my response is that, I'm just trying to be more like Christ. I'm just trying to be
I don't know if you want to be more like Jesus, but I do. It's up to you if you want to.
I mean, that's your call, though.
That's
no, I'm just kidding. I'm like, that's your call.
You're a good pastor. That usually shuts down the criticism. I'm just trying to follow Jesus. I don't know about you, but that's good.
do what works for you. There you go. You do what works for you.
I love that. That's great. No, I love how you lift up these playful moments in Christ's life and in the biblical narrative.
More, right? Those are just my faves, but like it's literally
you're right. Yeah,
open anywhere to find something.
You're right. It made me think about another one that I think someone just recently lifted up the playful nature of it to me that I've never thought about before. But they're totally right. Is like, the moment where Jesus says, why do you worry about the speck in your neighbor's eye when you have like a big log in your own eye? And we read that very seriously in church. Why do you worry about the speck when you have a log? But I mean, that's like a stand-up comic routine. That's like, dude, you got a whole log in your eye. And you're not
literally. That's a joke. Like, come on. Like that is
right.
Literally. I'm like, part of me, I imagine like how Jesus, like as they're like, spouting this and they're writing it. Like I imagine like as like stand-up comedians, like, you have a speck. You have a whole. I'm like, what if we read the Bible that way? Like, can we not get like maybe someone out there who's like doing interpretations? Can you write a Bible that's like the Bible like as if it was told like jokes? Like literally, like can we create that Bible? Like I would love that one. I would love to have that in my copy of Bible.
The Bible, the joke Bible.
We'll work on that. There you go. The play
like
Bible. The Bible talk full of play and like just highlighting all the moments of play and retelling it.
I love it. I love it. That's so great. Yeah. Thank you. The previous episode immediately before this one was about games in the Bible, and it was just Kevin and me. We didn't have a guest for that one. And I wish now that maybe that we'd recorded that episode after this one because you're giving good fodder for it. So yeah, you're giving good
That's good.
material. Yeah.
So then,
yeah.
sorry, you guys gonna be the ones that get to produce this like gameplay Bible? I love that. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I want to be able to use it in my classes and have it at home for my boys. So when you guys finish it, let me know.
Okay. Well, you're very kind. You're very kind, and your confidence in us is inspiring. Thank you very much.
Among all the other things that you're doing in life, right?
It means a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Well, so one thing we often like to discuss with our guests is, again, this is a podcast where we talk about games and play and spirituality and religion and faith and all of that. It's kind of a like defining play. It's kind of hard to nail down exactly the scope of this podcast, but we began the podcast about 4 years ago now, with kind of a more narrow focus, specifically on talking about games. And games are like tabletop games or any kind of games. Games are always kind of our heart and soul at this. So I always like to ask guests, and it's, what are some of your favorite games? And it can be anything, but what are your favorite games?
So I have so many. So I love card games. I love like Phase 10, Uno,
Yes.
Spades.
Yes.
I love little dominoes.
Yes. Yep.
I'm also like, I consider myself like an actor in my heart. So I'm like Pictionary, charades, gestures.
Yes.
I want to be
yes.
doing all the things to make you guess.
Yes.
I love Guess Who.
I don't know if I know Guess Who.
Guess Who, where you have like the people on one side and other people on the other side. Like my kids love that. I'm like, do they have glasses? Do they have...
Yes. That's great. Yeah. Yep. That's a good one. I remember that now. Yeah.
I just like to color. Like sometimes I just get a coloring book and I'm coloring.
Yep. I love that.
Some of my favorite games right now have been the games that my kids have made up that,
those are the best.
have random rules and random things, or like they'll set a rule and then it changes in like 2 minutes and now they're new rules. Those are fun. Those are fun. Those are fun games. So yeah.
Yeah, those are fantastic. Those are fantastic games. It's
those are fun games. You never know who wins, actually, because apparently he always wins. My son will always win. no matter what, the rules will change.
I'm sorry, Mom. You've forgotten the first rule, which is that I always win this one.
Exactly. The first rule is you don't win.
If anything, rule 2, if anything contradicts rule 1, then
go back to rule 1.
That's right. Those are great. I love that. Yeah, thank you. I could see, you said you like to act. I could see imagine that in you. Yeah. Have you ever done any kind of acting? Are you a theater person or?
I mean, well, in like high school and stuff, like I did like theater and things like that in high school, but not since. But I have plenty of fun, doing this work. I like, even in my classrooms, I do some of the work of Theater of the Oppressed with Augusto Boal.
I don't know that.
Brazil, he was, from Brazil, but he talks about theater of the oppressed, like using theater to talk about, justice in the world. And so I do actual like practices in my classes. And so I guess I'm doing like little pieces of theater, right? Like in classroom, things like that. But that's about it.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you. Well, I know we're kind of approaching the end of our time together. Is there anything at the very end? I'd like to ask you how people can find you, like if people are interested in learning more. But before that, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you'd love to get in before we wrap things up?
Just if anything, just go play more. My goodness, I mean, I feel like
Amen.
So much we can, again, all the benefits, I talked about it. Just go play more and do it on purpose. I mean, make it a thing. Just yeah. That's probably my biggest thing. It's just we could all play more.
Here. I for all the reasons you said. Yeah, I totally agree. I do Kevin and I have both done this. We, from time to time, do little workshops for incoming pastors. And we both happen to be United Methodist, though this isn't, United Methodist podcast or anything, but, so like our districts or conference offices would kind of maybe ask us to do like these little theology of play trainings and it's fresh in my mind because I just did one last week, and that's one of the things we talk about, just kind of the benefits of this. And one of it's like, when you're playing with other people, Um, I can't think of anything else that this is all just kind of under, just to say here to what you said. I can't think of anything else that does a better job of simultaneously providing care for other people and self-care all at the same time than play. It's a beautiful thing. Like your point,
It's so
it's,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah. Yes, yes.
Absolutely. I'm like, come on.
So, Lakisha,
Yes.
how can people find out more about you? Where can they find you if they want to learn more? How can they do that, please?
Yes. Again, I teach at Union Presbyterian Seminary. So I go to that website. I'm there. Also, I have my own website. So it's LakishaRLockhart.com. There you go. You got to forget that R in there. It's randomly
The
in there.
R. Okay. Yeah. Good,
R,
good, good.
full name. I'm on Facebook, Lakisha Lockhart Rush, RUSCH, it's hyphenated.
Okay.
I'm also on Instagram as the same. So, it's Lakisha Lockhart. Lakisha Lockhart Rush.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm semi-social. I'm not super social, like on all the socials.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm okay. So there you go. So those are the ways that you that you
That's
could probably.
awesome. Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And and thank you for your time and spending a few moments with us and with our listeners and viewers today. Thank you for sharing your passion for play and play as a lens for um, so many important conversations and voices, and so grateful for this. This has been an absolute delight, and just really appreciate you so much. So thank you so much, Lakisha.
Well, thank you, and appreciation back to you. I mean, even the podcast. I mean, we all need to play more. So thank you all for talking about it, for getting people to think about it more deeply, and it's a gift to so many. So I hope you all are also enjoying watching, and kudos to both of you for putting this on for folks and inviting people to play more and that beautiful reminder. So thank you too. Right back at you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right, listeners, viewers, thank you for spending time with us. We really appreciate it. We hope you have a fantastic day or night or evening or whenever. You rock, and we're glad you're in the world, and we will see you next time. So, bye-bye.
Bye.